had to get an assistant so that way I can separate myself out of the business. When it comes to something you truly, truly, truly want to do, you will make those sacrifices. That time is when I can book photo shoots. We all have a story when it comes to being a parent and trying to do the things that we have to do for our kids and for ourselves. Dang, you ain't even looking at the fact that I'm trying. Like, this is all I have. Honestly, that's all I had. God.
Welcome to Baby Bump and Business, the podcast for creative moms growing a baby and a brand at the same time. I'm your host, Bee Trofort-Wilson, photographer, educator, and first-time mom-to-be, sharing the real unfiltered journey of pregnancy, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. Each week, I'll be joined by a fellow creative mom to talk about the beauty, the burnout, and the balance of it all. So let's get into it. Today's guest is Drea Nicole. Drea Nicole is a cutting-edge businesswoman and photographic artist. Drea's career consists of a wide range of clientele and projects, from clients like Tyra Banks, Usher, and Fantasia, to campaigns for Steve Madden, Ivy Park, and so many more. She's more than a photographer. Drea is also the creator and owner of Rebel Home, a collection of luxury home essentials. She is also the creator of 2 digital magazines, Rebel Lifestyle and Rebel Kids. The Virginia native is dedicated to raising her 2 beautiful children while growing the Drea Nicole and Rebel brands and further perfecting her class. Drea, girl, how are you doing it all? Let's just get right into it.
Let me tell you something. People always ask the $1 million question, right? How do you balance it all? That's the question people ask a lot of women, right? And if you notice, it's never a answer, because the balance is consistently changing. Like, you can try to balance it all, but at the end of the day, you have a lot of things that come up in between this balance that you just be like, okay, I got to rebalance. Okay, kid's sick, I got to restructure. Okay, the school just called, I got to pick them up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, y'all don't have school today. I didn't know that. Okay, great. So I got to rebalance. So it's like, it's never going to be a cutting edge answer to that. So I don't even know how I'm balancing it. I'm just taking it day by day, situation by situation, and then we just gonna let it go. I got to a point where I don't stress. I try my best not to stress out about it anymore when things don't go as planned. But I just be like, okay, all right, now how are we gonna shift this? You know?
And how did you get to that? Because, especially as entrepreneurs, we like to be in control. We like to know what our schedule's looking like, what our week is looking like. We like to know where we're going to be. So when that shift starts to happen, how did you get through that stress of being like, you know what, I need to change my mindset going into this. I need to be more flexible. I need to be more open.
I tell myself that every time something happens. So it's still a work in progress, but I will probably say the biggest. Now, I had a couple of stressful seasons, right? But the pandemic definitely it definitely taught me a lot. You know what I mean? In regards to just how things can just change. You know what I mean? And now the kids are home all day. We had a babysitter from 7 a.m. to 3 o'clock. And they went to aftercare. They did to 6. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they're home now. So it's like I never left, my kid. How old were they at the time? I don't even remember, but I never left them at home by themselves and all that type of stuff. So it was like, okay, now pandemic here, they got to do school at home. Now that they open back up, I got photo shoots. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, the clients really don't want to be around people because they don't want to catch COVID. But then I don't want my kids around people because I don't want them to catch COVID. But then they still got to do school. But then I still got to work. So it's like, it got to a place where it's like, okay, Drea, figure out a plan and it's going to work out. Don't stress. It's going to work out. I had crying moments, trust me, in the studio right before a client would walk in the door. Like, my assistant would tell you, she would be like, Drea, calm down. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know. Girl. So it got to a point where it's like, now it's like, okay, you know what? All right. You can't control things that you can't control. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you just got to go with the wind.
Right. So with someone like you who's wearing so many hats and building so many businesses while you are being a mother at this, like, I mean, you're doing it now, right? What are some
Mhm.
things that you had to implement in your business to make sure that you're able to somewhat balance both of those at the same time?
The one thing I definitely had to do was to get an assistant, because it really, really, when I say it helped so much with trying to not cater, you know how, like, when you don't have an assistant and the emails are coming in, some people may have complaints, what I'm saying, about where's my pictures at? Where is it at? And it's like 12 year old, like 7 to 14 business days, but I need them tomorrow. And it was like, so that honestly will tap in, with me because I'm such an empath child. So I feels everything. So it's like that will kind of get me worked up. And then, mommy, I'm hungry. Can you do? And like, so it was a lot of that people don't normally see. They just see the work I put out and be like, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, no, so much going on behind the scenes. So I had to get an assistant so that way I can separate myself out of the business so much like I was. I had to take myself out of the whole like the logistic parts of it, like the admin parts of it. I could worry about just being the creative and then just being the mom. You know what I'm saying? Not the mom. I got to schedule the bookings. I got to keep track of my calendar. Now I got to do all this communication back and forth. I have to deal with budgeting. I got to see if you want to do this price. You don't want to do that price. What's your budget? So I had to take myself out of all of that. I had to take myself.
And so, what would you say? Because especially, as entrepreneurs, when we're starting our businesses and when we're giving that advice, a lot of us, it's hard for us to delegate, right? It's hard for us to be like, you know what, this is what I don't like. Let me pass it on to someone else. Or we put it in our mind that it's too expensive to delegate, not realizing that delegate is going to open up so much more and give you more of your life back. So, what advice would you give to that creative that's afraid to make that leap to get an assistant or to delegate in that manner?
The biggest one you just said was the funds, so it's kind of like the good outweighs the bad at the end of the day. So it's kind of like, yeah, depending on the assist, depending on the assistant that you get, because they come at all levels now. You got the big dog that got the big rate, and then you got the one that you know, the rate may be a little less, you know what I'm saying? But they'll still do what you need for them to do for your business. So it just really depends. So you can get an assistant. It just depends on the type of experience level that you're looking for, right? It took a minute because when it came to invoicing was I'm a hands-on, like, I need to know, you know what I'm saying? Because that's our money, that's our bread and butters. It took a minute for me to let my hands off of that, but I had to realize, like, you got her here for a reason, and I did trust her as an individual because you gotta trust the person that you're hiring. Like, something in you may not know them very well, but it's something in you that would tell you, like, "Okay, this a trustworthy person," like, they gotta go hard for your brand. They gotta believe in your brand. And then once you feel that from somebody, the money part, it'll work itself out. Sometimes you may have to restructure. Your price was this one price, and maybe you have to increase it a little bit just so that way you could pay for that person. But you gotta let your hands off of stuff because you're not gonna grow as a brand, as a business, if you're doing everything yourself, you know?
Right, right. That's a
Mhm.
good one. That's a good one. Because
Yeah.
when I got my assistant, when I say that changed my business, I was like, I don't gotta do this. And it's like, you like talking to people? Oh, go right ahead. You can.
Yeah. 'Cause if we're friends, yes, but if it's like business and the moment somebody like, "Can you call me?" I'd be like, "I don't wanna talk." So
Send it
that's
in an
what I and she
email.
loved to talk. She loved to talk on the phone. I'd be like, "Oh, yes, And then it got to a point also where I had to teach her, "Don't come to me for everything." You know what I'm saying? Like, because now I feel like I'm doing your job. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm already dealing with enough. So unless it's something I need to know, then come to me about it. But other than that, if it's something you can do you can figure it out and do yourself because you should know me well enough You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not taking that price. So whatever you guys say, that's what you got to do. Don't come to me with that because I don't. We got enough that we deal with on a daily basis that's what we have you there for.
Right, right. And that, like
Hmm.
you said, letting them know, like, you know us. So it's like once you know us, it should be streamlined. You would know what I'm
Yeah.
gonna say yes to, what I'm gonna say no to, and let's just get this moving. So let's go back a little bit. So when did your motherhood journey start during your entrepreneurship journey?
So I'm a little different because mine started before.
Okay.
So I became a mom prior to becoming an entrepreneur. So basically I moved to Atlanta back in 2014. And when I moved here with both my kids. So I think my son was 6 months. I think my
Baby.
daughter was like like she was like 2.5 or something like that. So that's when I moved here. And so when I moved here, okay, I could get long-winded, so if I talk too much, just let me know, okay? So when I moved here, I was not a photographer at all. I was not a photographer, but I knew that's something that I was interested in. My background is IT, so I was doing that prior to moving to Atlanta. So I got here, decided like, you know what, I want to try photography out before I try to go look for a job. Maybe around I started shooting like events, maybe around the end part of 2014. And then in 2015 in February, that's when I reached out to Derek. And so I reached out to Derek at this particular time. I was living on my own at the time. My mom lived next door to me. That's how close she lived with me. It ain't across. No, she literally wall to wall. So I lived out there, and then after that, I went to Derek. So when I got into the internship, that was my struggle. That's where the struggle really began. Now, mind you, I wasn't working. My mom, she was working, so I had to try to figure something out to do the internship because I'm like, okay, if this is something I want to do, I gotta make time to do the internship, right? Girl. And Derek till this day do not know the sacrifices that I did to be in that internship. He does not know because I'm a firm believer. I am a single mom. I've been a single mom since day one. And both my kids got the same daddy, but I've been a single mama since day one. And I it was a struggle. So, and I never tried to not make excuses, but I never tried to complain. No one can ever say they ever heard me complaining about anything. So, got into the internship. I'm trying to figure things out. There was this lady that I knew from back home that was like, okay, well, I'll watch your son because my daughter, I was able to put her in a pre-K at that time. So I was like, okay, so not pre-K, y'all have Georgia something, whatever that is. I was able to
Whatever.
put her in there, and I was able to drop him off because he was at that time 1, right? So, this is what I did. This is the sacrifices that you made. I would drive from Johns Creek. I would drive to drop him off. I think that area is called Jonesboro or something,
Oh,
Georgia, or something like that. I would drive all the way down there to drop him off. Then this time, Derek was off of MLK in those apartments. I don't know the name of them,
yeah,
but them
the
apartments.
mattress loft.
Mattress Loft. I would go to Mattress Loft. So I would be at Derek's studio for maybe like I was only able to get maybe 2 hours in. Then I would drive back, pick him up, go on back to Johns Creek so I could make it back in time to get her from the school that she was in. And that's what I would do at least 3 days out the week. So there were times where he'd be like, I gotta shoot today. Can y'all come and assist? I can't. I can't. And and so then just having one of my friends, she was like, well, I'll start watching, your son for you. And so, but she lived at darn tequila. So I would literally this she didn't have a car, but I had to do what I had to do. So I would literally drop my daughter off in Swanee. I would go to tequila to to pick her up. She would then drop me off at Derek. Then she would go back to my house with my son till my daughter got out of school. Then she would pick up my daughter from school. Then she would come back to pick me up from the internship. Then I would drive to drop her back off at tequila. Then I would come all the way back to Johns Creek and home.
Woof,
And I ain't had no money.
woof, woof.
But when it comes to something you truly, truly, truly want to do, you would make those sacrifices because
Right.
you think I wanted to be on the road and driving back gas and all of that stuff. But I was like, nah, I gotta do this because if I don't, then I'm gonna have to go and get a job and do something I don't want to do and then be unhappy. You know what I mean? But Derek never knew that that was the sacrifices I was taking to be at the internships and why I couldn't stay longer, or because it's not issue for him to know why. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? If I could come, I could come. If I can't, I can't. If I got to leave early, I got to leave early. I don't need to get no explanation. That's just what it is. And but that's all that's what I had to do. And I did that literally for about the whole time I was in an internship.
Right.
And so that's a huge sacrifice that I had to make. You know what I mean? And so after that, once that internship ended, that's when I was on my own. So now I'm shooting out my apartment. Why? Because I ain't have time. I don't want to be in no studio, renting studio spaces. So I would shoot in my actual apartment and I would book my shoots during my son's nap time. That's the
Mm.
time I had. I ain't got no time later. I can't shoot you before because I gotta drop my daughter off at school. So the nap time is when I could book photo shoots. And that's what I had to do. You know what I'm saying? But I literally just had to figure things out. That's where the balance thing come into play. Like, okay, I have to balance it. Like, it's better for me to have somebody come to the apartment to shoot when he's taking his nap. Now, he was a very quiet kid. So even when he did wake up from his nap, he would literally just come and just sit on my lap and I'm just steady shooting. I'm just that's why a lot of times people be like, "Your kids, they grown up so," because I've been shooting them since they were kids, and they would be in the studio with me all the time, and I would just have to do what I had to do, to be able to do what I love at the end of the day. So I don't know if I answered your question.
You did. You did. 'Cause it yes, you did. You did. And I think but I think that, like, hearing this part of your story, right, is something that a lot of us don't think about, especially, when you go into that transition of being a mother. For some reason, there's this idea that our dreams have to stop, right? There's this idea that
Yes.
now that you're a mother, this is your only title versus, "No, I'm still who I am, and I still have goals and dreams that I really want to achieve, and I can still do that while balancing being a mother." And I think just hearing that shows that you can
Mhm.
still chase that dream. You can still
You
go
can.
after it and look where you are now.
And look, and sometimes you just gotta know it's not going to be easy. And it's so crazy because you could literally have this same conversation with someone like me, with somebody who's trying to come up and doing whatever it is they want to do. You could have this conversation with somebody who's making millions. You can make somebody who's a stay-at-home mama and the husband making millions. We all have a story when it comes to being a parent and trying to do the things that we have to do for our kids and for ourselves. And everybody's story is different, but it's kind of the same. When the more you talk to people, it's like, dang, we're going through the same thing.
Right. So
Yeah.
so transit so how did the transition happen from shooting your apartment to now having your own studio, right? What were the things that you had to do to be able to make that transition happen while having these two kids that were growing up and basically working with you?
They was working with me, honey. Honestly, I it was a client. It was a client because during that time, that's when I was also trying to do my magazine because I was at that time I was trying to build a clientele, you know what I mean? Because when I was with Derek, whole everything was about him and his clients. So once it ended, I had to try to build my own thing. So that's when the magazine came into play. And one day there was a young lady that wanted to book my service. And mind you, I was shooting everybody at my apartment. Did I advertise that I was shooting people in my apartment? No, you just saw the finished product and you liked it, right? So she came to my house and she at the shoot, she seemed like everything was fine until she got her images back. When she got her images back, and I'm talking about not just the link for her to see what she want retouch. I'm talking about the finished product. She praised the product. I'm happy with the product, right? But then was a but in the email.
Mm.
Then she started just crucifying me about I was so unsatisfied with the fact that you had me shooting in your apartment and you had your kids there and it was I still have that email to this day. But that email, it opened my eyes because for a moment, it made me it hurt my feelings because I was like, "Dang, you ain't even looking at the fact that I'm trying. Like, this is all I have for right now." You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have a studio. I can't pay for a studio space. I can't y'all don't even wanna pay the rate that I'm charging y'all, let alone using that to pay for the studio rental because at that case, I ain't gonna make no money. So the only smartest thing I had to do was shoot you out of my home where I'm already paying the rent and it'll be free for me to just shoot you there. Is this where I wanna be? Is this where I wanna shoot you? I don't wanna shoot you here either because my house is my sanctuary. I don't want different energies up in my house, but that's just what the book of the story that I'm in right now. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, dang, you can't even see that? You can't see that? And so she really opened my eyes to be like, I'm gonna prove you wrong.
Mm.
I'm gonna prove to you that it doesn't matter. First of all, it doesn't matter where I'm shooting you at. The talent is still the talent. I could shoot you in a garage, a dirty garage. Like it doesn't matter where it is as long as you're getting what you need. And so I just was like, okay, you know what, Drea, you gotta just restructure because maybe nobody does want to shoot in your apartment. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they are looking for an experience because she also mentioned, but you shooting all these celebrities, but those celebrities that you are saying I'm shooting, I shot them in my apartment. Like they were literally in the same spot you was at, and nobody complained about it. And if they did, they never said nothing to me about it. But I shot them there too, you know. So I was just like, okay, my first spot was a goat farm, and I was like, it was like $1,300, and I was like, 1300. I'm not gonna do $1,300. And I just said, Drea, you just gotta pray and just believe that God is going to provide for you. And honestly, that's all I had. That's literally all I had because I didn't have the money at all. I didn't have a dime to be renting that place. But I want to tell you this: the very moment I signed them papers, them clients was like, I want to book, 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 I want. And it was just like,
Look at God.
look at God. You just gotta trust. That mustard seed. You just gotta trust just enough and know that He is going to give you everything that you need. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I had to do because I sure didn't have no $1,300 to pay.
Right.
So that's when I got my first place.
Awesome. So going from having that first place, right? Now your apartment overhead, you have the studio overhead, you still have childcare and all these other things that you have to balance, and you're still thriving, right? So what would you say outside of just your faith? Was there anything else that helped you really get through and navigate transitioning and knowing like, I'm built for this, I can do this, and I've been able to thrive and grow since then?
Honestly, that's all I had. God, because sometimes I still try to question like, really, was I really supposed, like, is this really my life right now? Is this really what I was supposed, and it is what I was supposed to do. He is going to provide, you know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, that's literally because nothing else I don't think changed other than me just keeping the faith and it's like, okay, it's going to happen. The clients poured in overflow. I couldn't even do the magazine no more because I was so booked that it was like, I can't even do this magazine no more because I don't even have the capacity to do it. So I'm just gonna focus on these clients. And yeah, I don't think nothing really else changed other than me just having to keep the faith and that's it. Cause I was still on my own. It wasn't like I think at that time my mom, she had moved, she got a job in like Florida. So it's literally been me and my kids. Like there was no babysitters, there was um no. And if I you know, and if I did need somebody to watch them, I just literally brought them with me to the studio. They literally I had a room set up in the studio for them. It had the sofa, it had the TV, it had whatever snacks they needed. Everything was in that room. They barely came out just to go to the bathroom. People didn't even know they was in there until they would come out and go. They were like, "That's my son. He's just going to the bathroom. He'll be all right." Hey, I just had to figure a lot of things out and just know like this is where this is my story and I have kids. I can't feel bad about the fact that I got kids. It is what it is. You either gonna book it or you ain't. This is what
Right.
comes with booking with me. I got them. It ain't nothing I can do about it. So if you
Right.
don't want to book with me because I got kids, well. So that's kind of that person that the mindset that I developed is the Oh, well. Oh, well.
And I think that's even beautiful because even like for me going through this transition, I have all the questions, right? Like I'm like, what am I gonna do with my daughter? Where's she gonna go? But
She
even
gonna
hearing
be
like
right there in
she
that
gonna be right in
studio
the
with you.
studio, right? It's just like we got two
You gonna
different
create
rooms.
her own little section, and
Right,
she gonna with all the things that she needs to occupy her time while you're doing your work, and that's all you gotta. There was a makeup artist I used to work with all the time, and she ended up getting pregnant, and she was in the same boat as me. And a lot of clients complain about the fact that she had to bring her daughter when she did their makeup. And but for me, it was like I just felt for her because I'm like, I am in that same boat as you. So, no, if you gotta bring your daughter, I let the client know she gotta bring her daughter with her. You want her to do your makeup, right? All right then. And honestly, people who have children understand it. It's the ones who don't that as much as they say they do, they don't. You know what I mean? They don't wanna
right,
they're not gonna understand it in the same way as somebody who has a child, you know what I'm saying?
right.
So for me having 2, I understood, like, she's trying to do the best that she can do, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm not about to be like, "Girl, I can't book you because you gotta bring your daughter with you." No, and my kids is right in the other room. Like, I was like, "No." So, yeah, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do.
So what would you tell to those clients that don't understand that, right? Or the ones who don't have kids and don't, like you said, like we're doing what we have to do, and the service, it's not like the services is being affected because the work is still
No!
looking great. The work is still looking great. So what would you say to the woman or to the whoever the client is that may have like some contradiction or some negative thoughts about you working and bringing your child to work?
Think they just need to grow up mentally because at the end of the day, it's hard out here. You know what I'm saying? I just seen this meme where the girl was in a car and she's just talking about how, you know, growing up for our parents, things were cheaper. They could fill that tank up for $10. You know what I'm saying? Like things were different back then. Why had it start when we grew up? I don't know. But we're in an economy now. Everything is expensive. Have a little grace because somebody can't afford spending $1,500 just to have their child go to daycare. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you see hairstylists all the time that would strap that baby up and be doing hair. You know what I'm saying? If you want the service and it's all about what they're comfortable with. Hold on, let me take this back. You gotta know your kid too. Yeah, some of them be a little oblivious to the fact that their kids is a little bad now. They're little bad kids now. So you have to know your kid at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I knew that for mine's quiet. Long as they got the TV and the stuff they were quiet. Nobody knew they was even in there. You know what I'm saying? So now, if you know you have a riled up little kid, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And B, if you know your kid is over there cutting up all the time, you know not to bring her to that studio.
Right. Know your
We
kid.
know. Some people try to act like they don't know their kids is bad. You know when your kid is bad now. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing. If you know your kid, then don't even do that to the client. You know what I'm saying? Because that can become a distraction during a session for them. Because a lot of things that what we do, everything is I feel like it's like energy driven type of field that we're in. We feel each other energies out. The energy that we pour into our clients, it allows them to be comfortable. It allows them to be like, okay, yeah, I do feel, because we're exuding that to them. Now, if you're doing that, but then your kid's like, mommy, mom, if you then it gonna mess up a little thing, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you just gotta know your kid, but if your kid is that kid that is a good kid, then just let them know, hey, I'm gonna have to have my child's gonna be there. She's a good kid, and majority of them is gonna say, girl, that's because they love your work. They love you. They've been following you they knew. I'm sure it's more than likely is a referral that somebody has already said, no, she's the girl you need to book with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's okay to just have that conversation. It ain't a long drawn out conversation. It's just a heads up. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's all you gotta do.
Well, girl, I learned so much from this. I'm already like, okay, you know what? I could just put her in the office. She'll be fine.
Girl.
You know.
Yeah. And then yeah. And make it comfortable for her. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? When she gets to the age where she's walking or whatever, make it the little pull out, make it a cute little pull out, the little pull out sofa thing for them. So, okay, it's time for you to take your nap. Okay, put this blanket, get your drink, watch this TV. I gotta go. Mommy gotta go work. They understand mommy gotta go.
Right.
They're gonna always understand mommy gotta go work. Okay, mommy. And
Right.
then they gonna come out. You gonna love it because it's a girl.
Yes.
She gonna come out and she gonna come and she gonna just lay on your little shoulder while you shooting, and she like, "Mommy, I love you." You be like, "Oh, I love you too," and go get your butt back in that room. You gonna when I say you're gonna love it, and like it got to a point. I have pictures and videos. My daughter had came out, and I'm trying to do the paper, and she comes out and she's want to help me roll out the paper, and I'm like, yeah, help me, help me. You know what I'm saying? I have my son. There's pictures where he came out and especially with the ladies, he come and he go stand next to him and start smiling in the picture, and they love it. They be like, "Oh, that sounds like, boy, come in, look at you." You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's not as bad. It's not as bad or it's not as scary as you will probably think it's going to be because you are teaching them how to operate while you're working. You teaching
Mm.
her at an early age to know like mommy's working. Okay, what do you do when mommy's working? Okay, mommy, I'm gonna go back in there. You know what I'm saying? You're teaching her ahead of time. Like as
Right.
she's growing up, she's gonna know mommy's working. Let me leave her alone unless I really need something from her, you
Right.
know?
And I think that's
Mhm.
the important part right there that I didn't even think about, where it's like you can teach them how they need to be in your business, right? It's kind of like a training, you train how they're going to be at home. They know how they need to be when they're at work with you, and knowing that that's something you do have a little bit of control over that.
Exactly, exactly.
Jams, look at you passing on all these jams, girl.
Girl, what I say? Because when I tell you, now, I did it all by myself, but you have your husbands, you have a partner that's gonna be able to help when they can,
Right.
with the times where you need to have the help. And sometimes he ain't gonna be able to help, you know what I'm saying? You gonna have to bring her to the studio, but at least you're gonna have the dad, I'm saying someone, that's gonna be able to help you in this process, you know?
Right.
So that's gonna be a blessing for you.
So if you can give one piece of advice to a creative, a photographer who's about to go through this motherhood journey, what is one piece of advice that you would give them?
Give yourself grace.
Mm, mm,
Give yourself grace. It's going to be hard because it's not easy, and just give yourself grace. It's a learning curve that you're going to be going through. So in that process, you're going to be learning how to adjust because it's a new life that you are bringing into your world actually, you know what I'm saying? So it's like give yourself grace to know that it ain't gonna go perfect. You're gonna have challenges along the way, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's gonna be a beautiful experience at the end. So
mm.
that's my little gem.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your honesty. Thank you for just all these gems that you dropped. Because I'm over here like, yes, okay. I know who to
You
call,
gonna have a
but
whole built out daycare just for your
I'm gonna
daughter
be
to
like, blame, it's her fault.
you gonna be like, y'all, let me show y'all my new daycare center at the studio.
Drop your kids off if you need. Just come. Monthly
Y'all gotta
memberships
bring y'all kids.
available.
They're gonna be right in this room.
Man, thank you. But again, thank you so much for your honesty. Thank you for
You're
sharing.
welcome.
Thank you for sharing this. 'Cause I know this helped me, but I know it's going to help so many amazing women out there as they go through this journey and continue being a rock star. Continue doing what you're doing because you're killing it out here, girl. You are killing
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Baby Bump and Business. I hope today's conversation reminded you that you're not alone in this journey and that there's so much power in building something beautiful while becoming someone new. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate, review, or share it with another mama or creative that needs the encouragement. Your support helps this community grow and lets more stories like ours be heard. To stay connected and get updates on new episodes and real talk from creative moms like you, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Baby Bump and Business. Until next time, keep creating, keep growing, and give yourself all the grace that you deserve.